All right, so let's talk about tests, because there are many, many different tests, how men test women, and there are five very crucial ones that you need to pass in order to win them over. Now, the first one might be a little bit more controversial, but the last one is probably not necessarily what you do expect, but men pay a lot of attention to this, so stay until the end. So, the first test, I call it the sex test. Now, what does that mean? Let's say you're going out for the first time, it's the first date, and everything goes so smooth and beautiful, and you feel that attraction. And there's this intensity and this sexual desire, and this, like, man, we kind of want to take it further, right? The body is just telling you these things. The man, obviously, he's going to push for it, right? He's going to go for it, he's going to try, he's trying to make it happen. Like, unfortunately, there's so many men, they're overly sexualized in that kind of way. And the sex test is basically this. In such situation, are you going to give in to this pressure of his, or maybe even to your own desires in the moment, when we're kind of like being taken over by emotions and our body is just giving us certain signals and responses? How is he going to test you? Basically, if he's going to be able to go on the first night, the first date, or in the very, very early beginning stages, is he's going to be able to get into your pants. Sorry for the lack of a better words, but like if he's going to be able to be intimate with you, to have sex with you, to go into this most sacred space with you, then what he's thinking about is like, well, great, obviously, like, we're continuing to deepen that connection further. You would think as a woman, but he's also gonna think is like, oh, well, I've kind of like already have everything that I was looking for, because like the hunter in him is like accomplished, caught the bait, got it, took care of it, beautiful, right? And I'm oversimplifying the whole thing here on purpose, right? Just to like paint the picture more in the black and white. But what he's also thinking is, okay, well, if I have been able to get into that intimate, most sacred space of hers on the first night, the first week, and the first couple of days or dates, then how many other men have had the same opportunity, the same chance? So when he's looking for a partner that is a long-term partner, that is maybe like the mother of his children, that he wants to potentially marry, then he doesn't necessarily want to have a woman who is so accessible, who makes it so easy for a man, and obviously he only has his own experience, but like he's gonna transfer that to potential other experiences that you had with other men. And I know this is a little bit uncomfortable, but you just have to listen to this, because at the same time, how you put men into the friend zone, men do the same thing and they put you into the sex zone. When you like a man, but you're not necessarily quite attracted to him, but he's a good dude, he would be good to have around, he might be helpful in one way or another, like, you feel good and safe around him, you put him in a friend zone. He doesn't like that, right? He potentially wants more with you, but like he doesn't get it, so therefore, okay, friend zone. The same way it works the other way around. If you make it available for a man to have sex with you on the first night, in the first few days, then what he's going to do, more often than not, he's going to put you in a sex zone. Meaning, he's going to date you for a little longer, he's going to have some fun with you, you're going to have like a potentially even like amazing adventure with him. But he's not necessarily going to date you and make you the wife or the mother of his children because of these reasons that I mentioned before. He wants someone who's not as accessible. He wants someone who's like having a certain level of valuing that sacred, intimate space that she holds, because you hold the key as a woman to intimacy in the beginning. It's not the man. Yes, the man basically holds the keys for, marriage and, getting married and having the ring on your finger. For sure. That's him. But when it comes to intimacy, when it comes to sex, when it comes to that type of exploration, you hold the keys. You have the most valuable thing. And if you give that away so easy and quickly, he's going to pay attention to that. The second test is the loyalty and respect test. Now, this seems like common sense, and yet we see it way too many times that there's so many women who in various situations do not really respect her man. I just had a friend call me the other day and she says like, man, I'm in the supermarket here in the grocery store in the Netherlands, and these women, they're so feisty. They're biting in the most disrespectful way, like really making him look so stupid for completely irrelevant, unnecessary things. And she's just observing this as a woman, and she's like, wow, this is like bad vibes, bad relationship dynamics. And obviously, this man doesn't feel respected at all. And you can bring up 100 other examples for this. You sit at a dinner table, maybe you have your bosses or your business partners with you, and then for whatever kind of reason, emotions go through with her, and there's a little bit of a drama, an uncomfortable conversation where everyone knows this is not the type of conversation that you don't have at a dinner table. In no way. Not with your business partners, not with friends, not in public in general. This is something you keep tight within the relationship container, and it will only be brought up in that safe, intimate container and not outside of it, because that's very intimate, that's very personal. We're going to take care of it ourselves. But if she's going to bring this up out into the public, and if she's going to make him look bad and stupid, and she's not having his back, that's a test. That's something that he definitely pays a lot of attention to, especially a good quality man who's all about like treating you right and also wants to be treated correctly, right? So that's the second test.
Which brings me to today's sponsor. If you're stuck, lost, or confused when it comes to your relationship with men, and you don't know how to communicate your needs to him in a way that makes you feel seen, loved, and heard, then you must see this. Since every woman's personality and circumstance is so unique and so special to you, we have a free relationship assessment quiz that you can take in the link below. That quiz will give you a customizable action plan to give you the love that you deserve, because you're worthy of it and you do deserve it so, so much. So take our free relationship assessment quiz right now, and now back to the video.
The third test is quite obvious too, is the lifestyle test. Let's say you're looking for a man who becomes your husband and maybe the father of your children. But then at the same time, you going out, you're partying, you're drinking, you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, and you're dating a bunch of people all at the same time, one after another. The man that you're looking for also obviously has to be interested in finding the wife, the mother of his children. Now, he might live a completely different lifestyle because he's like, I want a wife. I don't want a party girl. I don't want someone who's going out and like dating all these other men. I want her to be so clear and focused on what she really wants and do. That is obviously in alignment with like motherhood, with family. And if that's not the case, then he might also ask himself, it's like, yeah, it's nice, it's beautiful, it's fun, and we have some adventures and whatever, but it's not necessarily the woman that I'm looking for. So the lifestyle is super, super important. And if you find yourself wanting this, but having a lifestyle like this, then there's a huge discrepancy between these two of them. Meaning, he's going to pay even more attention to this, because he's not going to look for a wife like this, who's like going out and partying, whatever. Maybe he is. Maybe that's exactly the type of man that you're looking for. But more likely is like, no, that's not necessarily aligned with the type of life, the type of family dynamic, the type of relationship dynamic that he probably wants to create. So you got to pay a lot of attention to that. The fourth test is the financial attitude test. Let's call it this way. Okay, so what does that mean? Obviously, finances is quite a sensitive topic most of the time, right? So if he's interested in figuring out like, okay, what's your attitude towards money? Then he would pay attention to things like, okay, what are your habits? What are your priorities? What do you spend a lot of time on? Are you interested in saving money in order to like build something for the future, in order to make some investments? Are you expecting all of it to be paid by your man? There's so many different ways. And I'm not even saying there's one right or wrong. Not at all. But there's a lot of differences here. And you need to, one, get very clear what is it that you want and just own that. Okay. Two, he is also going to check like, okay, how much is that aligned with my belief systems around money and the way how we share or not share and the way how we contribute and not contribute in this family dynamic? How much are we actually on the same page? Maybe when it comes to budgeting, maybe when it comes to spending habits, maybe when it comes to financial goals. All of these things are super, super important, and he's going to test you. And it's not like, okay, honey, now we need to have a chat. Tell me, what is it exactly that you think and believe? No, he's going to pick up on the small little things that you either say or that you do, and the way how you communicate. Maybe not even directly with him, but like with your girlfriends, and he's in the space and he can hear it. Like all of these things he's going to pay attention to. And the fifth one is the emotional stability. I personally find this is probably the most important one of the most important ones. And many men use that in also more like a subtle way. You know, we're all going through stress and overwhelm, and you know, maybe there's some sort of a trauma or some sort of sickness or whatever happened in the family. There might be so many different things that can happen that causes us emotionally to become more reactive. And then the question is, okay, how reactive do you actually get? How do you respond when like he's maybe calling you out on something? And how much do you have your inner stability and your emotional control, basically, your emotional management? How much are you actually in charge and in control of it? And how much does it take over? You know, because if it takes over, then that means there's a little bit of a ticking time bomb, and he's going to pay attention to that. And actually, it's not even a problem if it takes over, depends on how much, right? But it's even more important how fast and how quickly can you bring it back into a state of hormesis? How much can you bring it back? How much does it take you to bring it back into some sort of a balance that you can have a rational, objective, neutral conversation about whatever it is, rather than just being in that emotional, quite heightened, intense, sensitive state? So these are the 5 tests. They're all super important, and there are so many more, and I made more videos about this already. You know, there are other tests out there. These are very, very important ones, and you need to pass them if you want to get into a long-term committed relationship that may even go into marriage, that may even go into family dynamics. And please, if you're like, oh man, these tests, they, you know, men shouldn't do this, and like, actually, I think they should do this the same way how you should do this, and actually the same way how you do it anyway all the time. We all do it. There's so much evaluation happening, so much assessment happening all day, every day between all of us. And I think it's important because at the end of the day, that's the way how we select. That's the way how we like define. It's like, I like this, I don't like this, this is pretty cool, this is not cool, this is aligned, this is not really aligned. That's so important. You can go from the very superficial ones, okay, yeah, he's hot, he's beautiful, tall, dark, and handsome, and whatever, but it also goes into the personality traits, the way how you deal with your emotions, the way how you think about finances. All of these things are super, super important. And men, obviously, they're going to look at different things than you as a woman. So you're going to assess your man anyway. You're going to assess every single man that is approaching you and that you're considering to go into not just in an intimate space, but also go into potentially a long-term commitment with, right? So let's embrace these tests. If they're done with integrity, if they're done with like, okay, I want to understand this person better, and I want to understand how much are we actually compatible, because you can have a bunch of chemistry and it's not really compatible. So embrace these tests. Create these tests for yourself also with men. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. And understand that every action, every behavior, every word you say is going to be analyzed in one way or another by that man too.